everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, especially when there is so much going on, or should I say so little going on. Some of you are homeschooling your littles that actually belong to you. You're having to be teacher and mom at the same time, and or dad at the same time, which is really difficult. I know my daughter is about to pull her hair out. She's a teacher, but she's not used to having to teach her own. Some of you are remotely teaching your students. You've had to really just step up your game and get out of your comfort zone and do things that you maybe haven't had to do before. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing for your students during this time, and still trying to keep it together for yourself. So this gives us an opportunity to kind of, even though we're going to be talking all things teacher tonight, it gives you an opportunity to maybe just relax, sit back, and listen. So we're going to be talking about phonological awareness. So to get started, first let's talk about what is phonological awareness. It might surprise you to hear that reading actually begins with listening. And that's what phonological awareness is. It's the ability to hear and manipulate units of oral language. There is no print tied to phonological awareness. In fact, you can do it in the dark. Yet it is the foundation for learning to read. So let's look at this slide here. I actually kind of went to it a little sooner than I thought. So you've been staring at it for a minute, but let's continue looking at this, and let me just explain a little bit about this. So children who have phonological awareness are able to identify and produce rhymes. They're able to break words into syllables. They're able to tell how many words are in a sentence. They're able to recognize words with the same initial sounds, and they're able to blend and segment onset and rhymes. Phonemic awareness, as you see to the right, it falls under the umbrella of phonological awareness, and it's a little bit more difficult for students. To be a fluent reader, a student must be competent at working with the individual sounds in words, identifying sounds in isolation, blending sounds together to make words, pulling words apart by saying the individual sounds, and manipulating the sounds in words as well. We're going to talk more about each of these skills in just a few minutes. Okay, but let's talk about why it's important. Phonological awareness is the foundation for learning to read. It is critical to reading and spelling success. According to the National Reading Panel report that was done in 2000, the level of phonemic awareness that children possess when first beginning reading instruction and their knowledge of letters are the two best predictors of how well they will learn to read during the first. Uh-oh, I'm not sure what I'm hearing. I'm hearing something. Sorry, y'all. Let me go back. All right, somebody's echoing, but I'm not sure who that is. I think I'm hearing somebody else's mic. Okay, let's see if that gets better. Okay. All right, here we go. Let me go back. Why is it important? According to the National Reading Panel report, the level of phonemic awareness that children possess when first beginning reading instruction and their knowledge of letters are the two best predictors of how well they will learn to read during the first 2 years of formal reading instruction. All right, so here's the continuum if you wanted to look at that. It starts with rhyming. It goes down. That doesn't mean that we just teach rhyming and then we wait until they are fluent in rhyming or have mastered rhyming. It just means that these are the skills that fall under that continuum from easiest to hardest, okay? And also notice that phonological awareness in some of the skills, it moves from noticing to doing. For example, if you look at rhyming, it starts with the students being able to recognize rhyming words, and then they're going to move on to being able to actually produce rhyming words. Okay, all right, so let's look at these individually and talk about them. And then once I've kind of talked about each of these, then I'm going to back up and I'm going to put on my teacher hat and I'm going to show you how this would actually look and sound in your classroom. And then I have a good freebie for you at the end, so stay tuned. All right, so let's talk about rhyming. Rhyming is important to emergent literacy and learning because it helps children learn to listen to the sounds within words and identify word parts. An early goal is to simply listen to a pair of words and determine whether or not the words rhyme. So I tell my students, give me a thumbs up if the words rhyme. Ready? Dog, log. So I would have them repeat the words, dog, log, and then they're going to give me a thumbs up if the words rhyme. Sock, clock. So they would repeat the words and then give me a thumbs up if they rhyme. Also, using rhyming books during your read aloud time is another great way to reinforce recognizing words that rhyme. Okay, here's another one. Cat, fan. And the students would say cat, fan. And of course they don't rhyme, so they would give me a thumbs down. So you want to have some words, some sets of words that do rhyme and some sets of words that don't rhyme as well. All right, once they've mastered working with 2 words, you want to move along and you're going to move on to a set of 3 words. Now, this set of 3 words obviously have 2 words that rhyme and then they have 1 that doesn't rhyme, okay? So students will listen for the 2 words that rhyme and then you're going to ask them to isolate the rhyming part. So you would say ram, hat, bat. Which 2 words rhyme? And the students would call out hat, bat. What's the rhyming part? At. So you want them to not only recognize that the words rhyme, but you want them to be able to isolate that rhyming part now that we've moved into the 3 pictures, okay? So we just kind of, the skills advance as we go. As they get fluent in one part and master one part, then, you know, we want to make the skills just a little bit harder for them so that we continue that learning. All right, another part of rhyming is nursery rhymes. Did you know that children who know at least 8 nursery rhymes by the time they are 4 years old are usually among the best readers and spellers in their class by the time they hit 3rd grade? That's because nursery rhymes help develop so many critical reading skills: rhyming, recall and memorization, vocabulary development, and prosody. Now, unfortunately, nursery rhymes aren't used a lot anymore in homes or even in preschool. So it's important for us as kindergarten and 1st grade teachers to make sure that we are doing a lot with nursery rhymes so that, you know, even if they've missed that, not knowing 8 nursery rhymes by the time they are 4 years old, at least by the time they leave us, they know nursery rhymes, and we are working on getting them caught up in what they are missing. All right, so rhyming. After students have had lots of work with recognizing and supplying rhymes, you want to move on to producing rhymes. You're going to supply a word and ask the students to supply another word that rhymes. So for example, if I say sun, then I would want them to produce another word. Now, a great way to do this, rather than having all of the kids yelling out, fun, fun, like all of these just, you know, all of this just verbal vomit coming out at you, have them turn and talk first. So teach your kids that once you give them the word, they're going to turn and talk with their partner, and they're going to come up with as many words that rhyme with sun as possible. And then once you've given the signal, then you'll call on certain groups of students to share those words. Another reason that a turn and talk is a great tool to use is because it gives all students a chance to participate and generate some words that rhyme. When you just have, you know, 1 or 2 students raising their hands, those are the only 2 students that are really thinking about it. You want all students to be participating. So turn and talk is great to give all of your students opportunities to participate. Also, when you're doing rhyming, remember that nonsense words are okay as long as they rhyme. So even if they said zun, zun and sun rhyme, so that's okay. Let the kids have fun. Enjoy the fun of coming up with both real and nonsense words, okay? Next, we're going to talk about alliteration. So alliteration happens when words that start with the same sound are used in a phrase or sentence. So you want to have the kids repeat your silly sentence with you and then identify the sound that they hear at the beginning of the words. So for example, if I said Polly Pig picked pickles, my kids are going to repeat this silly sentence. Of course, they're all laughing usually. Polly Pig picked pickles. And then they have to identify the sound that they hear at the beginning of the words. Okay. Sentence segmentation is another part of oral language that we work on. Sentence segmentation is the ability to hear individual words in a sentence. So you will orally say a sentence, and your students will isolate and count the words. So for example, if I said, Boys and girls, how many words do you hear in this sentence? The bus is late. You would have them orally say the sentence, the bus is late, and then they would hold up 4 fingers to tell you how many words they hear in the sentence. Okay, when you're doing that, you want to make sure that you say the sentence just as you would speak. You don't want to slow it down and segment it for them. You want them to do that. So you say the sentence, they repeat it, and then they're going to say how many words they hear in that sentence. Okay. Again, notice like I told you at the beginning, there's no print to this other than on my slides where it's telling me what we're doing on this slide. I don't have the words written. I don't have the letters written. This is all oral. It's all hearing and oral. So the syllable level is the first step in blending words. Once your students understand the concept of blending compound words, move to blending the syllables in individual words. So for example, first we would start with starfish. What's the word? Starfish. So whenever I'm going to be blending, I'm going to start with compound words because it's easier for kids. Then I would move to blending the syllables in individual words like monster. So I would say monster. What's my word? Monster. So you're segmenting at the beginning and they're blending it. So you'll start with compound words and then you can go to individual words like pumpkin. Pumpkin. Okay. Next would be compound word deleting. So if I said popcorn, I would have my students say popcorn. Now I'd say popcorn without corn, and they would say pop. So do you see how the skills are progressing as we go along? Obviously, this is a lesson, this is something that you would do later in the year, which we'll talk about in a minute. It's just getting harder. I just wanted to share with you all of the different types of things that you would do when you're building phonological awareness in your students and how it progresses. Okay, so then also we've got syllables. So the syllable level is the first step in blending words. Once your students understand the concept of blending compound words, you're going to move to blending the syllables in individual words, like we talked about with monster. So here we have spider. So we're going to chop it. How many syllables? Spider. And they would tell you there are 2 syllables. Okay, so we went from blending, where I would say spider. What's my word? Spider. To now they are actually the ones chopping it and telling me that there are 2 syllables in the word spider. Okay. Onset and rhyme is the next thing. Onset and rhyme helps students to start focusing on smaller parts of the word. The onset is the initial consonant or consonant cluster at the beginning of the word, and the rhyme is the vowel and consonants that follow it. So for the onset and rhyme activity, the teacher will break apart the word by onset and rhyme, and the students will blend them together to make the word. Word families are a great place to start when working on onset and rhyme, but you don't always have to just stick within that same word family. You can mix it up. So let me give you a few examples. At. And the kids would blend it together and say cat. At. Mat. Ship. Ship. Chip. Swim. Swim. So as you're doing onset and rhyme, at the beginning, you'll probably just start with CVC words. But as your kids start mastering that, then you can move on to digraph VC words, to blend VC words. You could even do long vowel words like ache, lake, ache, cake, ache, snake. Okay. So you want the skills to get more difficult as the year progresses. All right. Whew. I'm giving you guys a lot of information, but we're going to break it down, and you'll see how just one lesson looks from start to finish in just a minute. All right, so phonemes, we talked about how that was on the right side of the umbrella, and that was a little bit more difficult for students, but it's very important for reading and writing. So phonemes are the individual sounds in words. You can make it fun by using a puppet. So I tell my students, this is Timmy the turtle. He loves to talk, but he says words very slowly. See if you can put the sounds together and say the word quickly. So Timmy the turtle would say cat, and they have to say cat, op, mop, ship. So you're Timmy the turtle, and then they're going to put the word together quickly and say it. Next with phonemes. So phoneme isolation is the ability to identify where a sound appears in a word or what sound appears in a given position in the word. Okay, you're going to start with initial sounds. Once they are mostly fluent with that, they've mastered it, then you'll go on to endings, isolating the ending sounds in words, and then you'll move on to the medial vowel sounds in words. Okay, so that progresses as well within the phoneme skill of isolating sounds. So like I said, phoneme isolation is the ability to identify where a sound appears in a word or what sound appears in a given position in the word. Okay, so if like here you say, you would say monster. What sound do you hear at the beginning of the word monster? And they would tell you, okay? Once they've isolated that and you move on, it would look like this. What's this word is, this is a picture of a fox. What sound do you hear at the end of the word fox? And they would tell you, x, okay? Once they've mastered ending sounds, then you can move on to the medial vowel sound. This is a picture of a fan. What sound do you hear in the middle of fan? And they would tell you ah. Again, we're listening for sounds. We're not telling letter names. You want them saying the sounds that they hear. Okay. From that, we move on to segmenting sounds. And so for this, you're just going to show them pictures, and they're telling you how many sounds they hear in that word. So tie, t, I, there are 2 sounds. If you were doing pan, they would be stretching it out and telling you how many sounds they hear. So they're segmenting those sounds, okay? Once they have mastered that, then you're going to move on to, now you're going to get into the higher level of working with phonemes. And that's where you're manipulating the sounds in words. You may be deleting some of the sounds in words, or even substituting phonemes. So you can have lots of fun in this area and do it a variety of ways. So for example, it would be, this is pig. Change the p in pig to w. What's the new word? And then the next slide, they would check it. Wig, yes. So you just want to do a variety of those where you're manipulating or deleting and substituting phonemes. So you might say, if it were, pretend like it's a different slide just so I can tell you how that would sound. So this is wig. Say wig. Wig. Let's say wig without w. What's left? And you want your kids to say ig. Okay, so lots of fun that you can do with that. All right. So as I said, 10 minutes a day. I don't know if I said that at the beginning or not. These lessons take about 10 minutes a day. And if you build in just 10 minutes a day into your schedule for phonological awareness, you're going to be amazed at the growth you'll start to see in your students in their reading and writing ability. Just 10 minutes a day every day. If you're not already doing this, I can't emphasize enough how important it is. Recently, a big thing has come out about the science of reading, if you follow that. Now, the science of reading has been around for quite a while. Some people have been following it. Some people have not paid any attention to it. But just recently, some articles were written about the science of reading that really put it at the forefront of what it means to provide good reading instruction for our students. And one of the things that every single article that I've read about is that phonemic awareness is extremely important, especially for students who struggle or students who have dyslexia. It is very important to be working on these skills 10 minutes a day, every day, and to be providing systematic, explicit instruction. So now let me show you from start to finish what one 10-minute lesson would look like. Because as I showed you before, I was mixing in and showing you how the skills grow and change over time. I want to show you just what one lesson looks like. And with kids, it takes about 10 minutes a day. Now, with you guys, it's going to be much faster, obviously, because I only have a few slides in here. Because with kids, I'll usually do like 3 slides for each each thing that we're working on, but you guys will get the gist after just a few. So first off, confession. I told you guys earlier that that we don't have letters or words on these slides. However, I want to tell you, even though phonics is a whole different ballgame, I do work on daily letter naming and sound practice as a warm-up before we get into our phonological awareness time. Okay, why? Because research has shown that alphabet recognition and phonological awareness are the two top predictors of early reading success. Let me say that again. Research has shown that alphabet recognition and phonological awareness work together, and they are the two top predictors of early reading success. So I want to make sure that I'm covering both areas. So once I have taught a letter and its sound, I'm going to add that to my warm-up slides. And we're just going to really quickly work through these slides. These are the only slides that will show a grapheme associated with what we were working on. Like I said, this part is technically phonics work, not phonological awareness. But in this part, I would quickly run through the letters that we've learned so far, and I'm only going to spend about 2 minutes on it. So it's very quick. So it would sound like this: R, rainbow. And then it would follow up with any other letters that we've learned. And each day, we're going to start that way. I put them in a different order each time so they don't just start memorizing them and just saying them without even looking at them. So you want to mix up the order each day, but you only want to, this is a review of the letters and sounds that you've already taught. It's not the entire alphabet until you've taught the entire alphabet. Let me go back and say one more thing about this. Once most of my students have mastered the alphabet, as noted by my ESGI assessments. You like how I threw that in there? ESGI assessments are so important with keeping up with which letters and sounds each student still needs to work on. So once I look at my data though and can tell that each of my students have mastered their letters and sounds, I can take this part out so that I'm spending all of my time on phonological awareness. So only keep it in there for as long as you think your kids need it. But I do keep it in there until they're fluent. I don't want them to just know the letters and sounds. I want them to be very fluent and be able to quickly identify those letters and sounds. Okay, that's why that review is really important each day. All right, so like I said, now I'm going to show you really quickly, and I'm going to try to just keep my teacher hat on and talk to you as I would talk to my students so you can hear exactly how it would sound in the classroom. All right, so it says, we are going to work on the beginning sound we hear in words. Let's look at the picture. We're going to say the name of the picture, the first sound that we hear, and the letter. Ready? Monster, M. Donut, D. How many sounds do you hear in B? Let's say B like our friend Timmy the turtle to see how many sounds we hear. E. How many sounds? Yes, 2. Let's say hive like our friend Timmy the turtle. I-V. How many sounds do you hear? Yes, we hear 3 sounds in hive. Okay. Now let me break in just for a moment with a teacher note here. Next up is syllables, and I don't know if I said this before, but when we do this, we want to add a kinesthetic movement to syllables. Some teachers clap it, some teachers stomp it. Whenever I do it with the kids, I have them put their left palm up, and they're going to take their right palm and they're going to chop their left palm as if they were chopping wood. So they're going to make their chopping sounds on their hand. You can have them clap their lap, however you want to do it, okay? So we're going to chop it to see how many syllables. It says words can be chopped into parts. Say the picture and chop the syllables. Butterfly. And then I would have them tell me how many syllables are in butterfly. Zebra. How many syllables? And they would tell me. Okay? All right. Next is which words rhyme. So obviously this is a little bit further in the year because I told you at the beginning, we start with blending where I would have said to them zebra for the syllables and they would have had to put it together. Now they're chopping it. I told you rhyming starts at the beginning with just 2 words and now we're on to 3. So I'm showing you some examples from a little bit later. Okay. All right. Back to my teacher hat. Words that rhyme sound the same at the end, like hop and mop. Let's say that. Hop, mop. What part rhymes? Ah, yes. Now we're going to listen as we say these words, and then we're going to figure out which words rhyme. Ready? Listen carefully. Ram, hat, bat. And they would yell out, hat, bat. Yes, hat, bat. What's the rhyming part? At. Okay? Let's say these words. Pin, man, win. Which words rhyme? And they would yell out, pin, win. What's the rhyming part? And they would say, in. Okay? Listen as I say a sentence. Repeat the sentence and hold up your fingers to show how many words. I love donuts. And you're going to hope that your kids hold up 3. Now, I will give you a little disclaimer here. Because donuts, right, donuts has 2 syllables, some of your kids may confuse multisyllabic words and count them as more than 1 word. So that's why in the beginning, when I do the oral language part of saying a sentence, I will make sure I start with just 1-syllable words, and then we'll build up to where we have a variety of sentences with some 1-syllable, 2- and 3-syllable words mixed in. Okay. All right. So that was my lesson. That was my 10-minute lesson. I had to step in and share some teacher notes with you, but when you're doing it with kids, it moves very quickly. And when you do it for 10 minutes a day and you commit to that, your students get very fluent very quickly. All right, but I wanted to recap and share again just how important phonological awareness is. It is truly the foundation for learning to read. You have to build that foundation. And in kindergarten, if I don't know, who are my kindergarten teachers out there, right? If you're a kindergarten teacher, you really have to hit hard at these skills. And then 1st grade, you're just going to continue on with what we started in kindergarten. Pre-K teachers too, if we have any pre-K teachers joining us, you're going to start it in pre-K as well, because like I told you earlier, the nursery rhyme part, knowing 8 nursery rhymes by the time they're 4 years old is so, so important. So making sure that we are doing these lessons each and every day with our kids, that we start from the simple skills and build, and that we hit on a variety of all of these under that umbrella each and every day in our lesson. So we covered a lot in a 10-minute lesson, but a little bit of time makes a huge impact because we are covering so much. So like I said, 10 minutes a day, every day. Right now, I want you to, I can't see you, so I'm going to trust that you're doing. I want you to raise your right hand, and I want you to repeat after me. I promise that I will devote 10 minutes a day, every day, to help develop strong readers and writers. If you do that, it will keep the intervention doctor away. You will truly have strong readers and writers by just devoting 10 minutes a day. Now, it's not the magic pill that cures, all the difficulties that a struggling reader might have, but it really does go a long way. The Dyslexic Association, in their reports, have said that phonological and phonemic awareness makes a huge difference, and that is the piece that some of our students are missing. Okay, so how can you help your students? How can you help? I've shared some slides with you, but there's no way you're going to remember it all. There's no way. You don't have time right now to go and create these types of activities for your students. You have enough on your plate. So I wanted to help you out. I know that some of us have been told that we're going to be out of school for 2 weeks, some of you 3 weeks, some of you it's indefinitely, which, oh my goodness, talk about it. I think the not knowing is the worst. The not knowing is the worst. Now, I don't want to pretend that I'm in the classroom. I want to make it very clear that I've been out of the classroom for a couple of years. I taught for 22 years. I'm out of the classroom now. So now I'm a teacher of teachers, but I'm feeling your pain, and I feel worried for you. I know, that unknown is so hard, but we're going to all get through this together. So many companies have stepped up, and they're helping you out with letting you use their apps for free. ESGI, as Rochelle stated earlier, they have some things for you as well, and I wanted to help out as well. So if you copy down this bit.ly link, it's /DJ free all uppercase. I'm giving you 3 weeks worth of lesson plans and all of the slides that you'll need to do 3 weeks worth of lessons. So 15 days worth of lessons. Just like I've showed you, it has the little script for you to follow so that you know exactly, you don't really have to give it any thought. You're really just popping up the slides and doing your lesson. So how can you use these lessons though? How can you help your students? So you could record yourself on YouTube teaching a lesson. Did you know if you're worried about other people seeing you, you can create a YouTube channel and keep it private, which means that only the people who have your link can view your videos. So if you wanted to record yourself teaching these lessons, because the slides are all digital, you could record yourself teaching them on YouTube and send the link via email to all your parents so your students could watch and do the lessons with you. A lot of teachers have created Facebook groups, private Facebook groups, just for their students and their classrooms so that they can go live each day and talk to their students. You can do all your lessons right in a Facebook group, which is really awesome. Then other apps, which are providing free resources and allowing you to use their platforms for free. Zoom or Seesaw, those are just 2 that I know of. I know there are many more. Another app that you can use is Screencast-O-Matic, and that is where they don't see you. So if you don't want to have to look your best and you want to stay in your pajamas, you could use Screencast-O-Matic. It's super easy to use, and it just allows you to share your screen and your audio. So they would just like you're right now. You can't see me, you can hear me, and you can see my screen. So Screencast-O-Matic allows you to do that for your students as well. So the resources that I'm giving you, let me go back to that slide again. All right, the DJ free, the resources that I'm giving you permission. You can email them to your parents if you need to. You can use them in any platform that you need to. You can use them in Google Drive. However you need to use them, I don't care. Use them. Do what you need to do to help your students, okay? So don't worry about right now about like, all the little rules that we have for using with our products. Those are out the window with this. Use it however you need to use it to help your students, okay? Another thing I just wanted to remind you about, that ESGI is also giving you, they're coming up with their at-home learning solution from ESGI. If you're not currently using ESGI, sign up today. Now, the beginning screen said GYTO Deanna because they sent me the corrected one, and I changed it out at the end and forgot to change it out at the beginning. I needed to change it at 2 places. Use this code. If you've already used GYTO Deanna, don't worry about it. But GYTO, not GYTO Deanna, was it Deanna Wild? Deanna Wild. If you already use that code, don't worry about it. But if you haven't already done this, use GYTO Wild. It allows them to track it a little bit easier. Free trial, no credit card required, and they are giving you the resources that you need. So they're going to be sending out an email once you sign up. They'll send out an email letting you know how they're going to be able to support you with at-home teaching and assessing during the school closures with free at-home accounts. So I just love how, one thing that I've noticed through this is that so many teachers and companies, everybody's just stepping up and helping each other, and I just absolutely love how everyone is coming together to help support one another. Also, if you're not a member of my Facebook group, Dee Dee Wills and I have a Facebook group. It's called Primary Collaborative. If you're not already a member of that Facebook group, you'll want to go and join up, Primary Collaborative. Dee Dee, I have to give her a shout out. She has been doing an awesome job ever since this started with the school closure. She's been in there every single day doing lives and adding in resources and files, and I really need to step up my game. So join that group, join us in there, and we'll be sharing lots of resources with you in there as well. Also, any questions that you've had tonight, I will be going live in that group tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'll be going live in that group tomorrow, and I'll answer any questions that you had. So thank you so much for joining us. Oops. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go right back to this slide really quickly, just in case anybody still needs it. But again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know you have so many other things that you need to be doing, like maybe out scouting for toilet paper. But I do appreciate you joining us, and just know that this is going to get better. We are all in this together. Storms don't last forever. They do go away, and then there's a big, beautiful rainbow at the end. So we're just hoping that big, beautiful rainbow comes to us very quickly. So I hope that you guys stay healthy, and thank you so much for joining me.